I'll talk later. You're good. You're live.
Oh, we're back live on TikTok. Round 2. I'm going to answer all of your questions about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial from today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Neama Romani, Harvard Law graduate, former federal prosecutor, been doing this for 20 years, live commentary on court TV. Hopefully you caught me today. I was covering the case. Hopefully you do catch me tomorrow. I'm going to be doing prime time. But basically, I'm covering this case gavel to gavel during the day. We're doing TikTok lives at night, and we're doing videos answering all your questions. So today, we did videos on the TMZ motion that was filed today. Tomorrow will be the last or second to last day of witness testimony. Are we going to hear from Kate Moss? What about the flight attendant, Johnny Depp himself? So jump in with any questions. We had a lot of them during our last live. We had hundreds of questions, and I'm here to answer. Follow us if you find something useful. We want to make the law interesting and accessible to everyone. And even though this is a sad case about physical violence, verbal abuse, drug use, we've learned a lot about the law. Questions about objections, cross-examination, direct examination, motions to quash, protective order, closing argument. So jump in with any questions. We got Julia, as always, behind the camera helping us out. So let's do it.
All right. First question. If Depp or Heard loses, can it be appealed?
Great question. You can only appeal a legal error. So you can't appeal a factual decision by a jury. So let's say the judge did something improper. That's a legal error that may be the basis for an appeal. But if the jury makes a factual finding that Heard proved her counterclaims or Depp did or didn't, that is not appealable. So very likely, just like what happened in the UK, even though that was a judge case, whatever the jury decides next week will be the final result in this case.
What was going on at the end today?
Yeah, there was some discussion. It's hard to kind of figure out, right? Because those discussions, the sidebar, they're outside the presence of the jurors, and we don't know what happens either. Now, there was a moment today during the voir dire of one of the witnesses, Morgan Knight, that we did get a sneak peek of some of the evidence, even though it didn't go before the jury, but what was happening. But to the extent that we have conversations outside the presence of the cameras or the jurors, we're not going to know. But what I'm guessing, this is just a guess, is we're talking about the witnesses that are going to come tomorrow. Because what we saw today, particularly with Dr. Shaw, this judge is limiting what evidence can come in on rebuttal. We saw it during Morgan Knight, the fact that the judge had to basically preview the testimony before she would allow Knight to testify. And Dr. Shaw, the Stanford doctor with a British accent, he was really limited in what he could say. He talked about the violation of the ethical rule, the Goldwater rule, that Dr. Spiegel testified about yesterday. But unless the witness is going to testify to something very specific on rebuttal, basically they have to negate or argue against or contradict something that happened during Heard's case in chief, they're not going to be able to come in. So maybe they were talking about Kate Moss, maybe they're talking about the flight attendant or Johnny Depp himself.
Which side will start closing arguments?
Because Johnny Depp has the burden of proof, he goes first. And he actually goes second as well. So there's going to be an opening argument by Depp's lawyer. Is it going to be Ben Chu? Is it going to be Camille Vasquez? Then Heard's lawyers go. They present their argument. Then on rebuttal, there's actually a rebuttal and closing argument. Johnny Depp's lawyers get to go again. And that's because he has the burden of proof. And let's not forget, the burden in this case is clear and convincing evidence. Not quite the standard you have in a criminal case, beyond a reasonable doubt, but much higher than the standard that you typically have in a civil case, which is preponderance of the evidence. More likely than not, 50.1%. And the reason is because Johnny Depp is a public figure. The Supreme Court has said that he has to prove defamation by a higher standard, clear and convincing, and he has to prove actual malice by Amber Heard.
We have about 1K viewers right now.
Follow us. We're doing videos every single day. We're doing TikToks analyzing perjury. We did TikToks today analyzing the videotape depositions and why they're coming in instead of live witness testimony. We did a whole video on the TMZ motion that was filed today, the motion to quash, motion to protective order. And we're doing lives every night until the end of trial, answering all of your questions. I'm doing TV during the day, alternating between court TV and law and crime, covering this case gavel to gavel. I've seen all the witnesses, so bring any questions and follow us if you learned something new.
A lot of people are asking what you think about Elaine calling Johnny Depp Mr. Turd. Did that happen?
I didn't see that happen. I know they've been calling Amber Heard, Amber Turd. Look, the case has gotten kind of nasty, and there's been parts where it's been unprofessional. You saw Camille and Elaine kind of going after each other. Even Rottenborn and Chu, obviously Heard famously stormed off the witness stand when she was done. She didn't even wait for the jurors. Listen, I get it's an emotional case, but you got to maintain your cool if you're the lawyers. You got to be professional.
Everyone's saying, yes, she did. She did.
When did she do it? I learned a lot from TikTok as well, so let me know. Obviously, I was doing trial commentary, but I must have missed that today.
Yeah, I want to see that video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did Warner Brothers' testimony hurt Amber's case?
Look, I think a lot of the damaged witnesses, we heard from Disney, we heard from Warner Brothers, we heard from her co-star. I think Amber Heard's damaged witnesses have testified pretty poorly because what they've essentially said is that she got Aquaman 1, maybe because of Johnny Depp, maybe because of her own. I think a lot of people believe that Johnny got her the role, right? She wouldn't have even been considered if she wasn't Johnny Depp's wife. But she got Aquaman 1, and because it was a successful movie, it was supposed to launch her career, right? And because her career didn't take off in the trajectory that they expected, that it must have been Johnny Depp's fault. Again, I don't think that that's the case. It's really kind of speculative. We'll see how they argue it during closing because let's not forget, during closing, a lot of the time has to be spent on the damages, right? This whole case, we're talking about who hit whom, who's lying, who's exaggerating. But if Depp proves his case, he's got to prove damages, right? That's why you got those witnesses, kind of the boring ones that are testifying about money. So at closing argument, we're going to see Ben Chu, we're going to see Camille Vasquez, we're going to see whoever it is. They're going to get up there and they're going to testify, listen, Depp lost this amount of money in the past, Pirate 6 or whatever. In the future, no one's going to hire him. He's going to lose this amount of money. So they really kind of got to connect the dots, and we'll see if they're able to do so successfully during closing arguments. But I didn't think any of Heard's damaged witnesses were particularly effective, in my opinion.
Can the jury take notes?
Yes, they absolutely can take notes. They're actually sometimes encouraged to take notes, but they can't take the notes with them, and they have to leave them in at the end of the day, and then they can take them into the jury deliberation room. Importantly, though, you don't need notes if you're a jury because you can always ask for a readback. What is that? Let's say they're talking about some psychological issue and they want to hear from Dr. Curry. Hey, is Amber Heard borderline? Is she histrionic? It's just PTSD, like Dr. Hughes said. They can ask for a readback, full or partial, of that testimony.
And another jury question. Oh.
And the good thing about readback, by the way, is it gives you a little bit of a preview of what direction the jurors are going in when they ask for a readback of certain testimony.
Does the jury start making their decisions before?
They're not supposed to, right? But jurors are real people. They're not supposed to consider the case until closing arguments are done. They've heard all the evidence and they've heard the arguments of the lawyers. But look, we've been sitting through this for 6 weeks, minus that 1 week where the court was dark. So is it realistic to think the jurors haven't formed some opinion? So as a practical matter, yes, but in theory, they're not supposed to form any opinions until all 7 of them are in that deliberation room and they start talking about the case.
With more men on the jury, will that help Johnny Depp?
Great question. You would think that men would help Depp, but actually, and I've prosecuted a lot of sexual assault cases, domestic violence cases, women tend to be harder on women in these types of cases. So I'm not surprised that Heard's lawyers wanted more men on this jury.
Will the verdict be live?
No. The verdict itself will be. Correction. The verdict will be. As soon as we have a verdict, I don't care what I'm on, Law and Crime Court TV, it will be announced live. But the deliberations won't. So the jurors are going to deliberate in secret. It might take hours. It might take days. I'd expect days because there's a lot of evidence in this case. A kind of rule of thumb, and this is something that I've picked up through my 20 years of practice, is for every day of witness testimony, you're probably going to need an hour of jury deliberations. Again, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen in this case, but you can kind of do the math, we're going to have days of deliberations, in my opinion.
What, if anything, did Jennifer Howell contribute?
Oh, wow. Sounds like someone's been learning from the Elaine School of Witness Examination. What, if anything? That's how she tried to get around leading questions, Elaine, and she didn't do a good job. I was really underwhelmed by Jennifer Howell. She was the last witness of the day. I thought she was going to come out and there would be fireworks, right? We thought she was going to completely contradict what her former best friend Whitney said. She's going to say that she was a liar. Instead, we get a videotape, which is never as good as live witness testimony. And really, what did she say? She testified that she never saw Johnny drunk or using substances. Well, we know that's the case because that's something that Johnny admitted to himself, and that's pretty much what every witness has said. And that Amber never told her about Johnny being violent. Again, didn't particularly move the ball forward. Again, these are important witnesses. These are probably some of the last witnesses that Depp's lawyers are going to call. And to play that short deposition clip, I expected a lot more, frankly, especially because there's been so much speculation about her testimony on TikTok over the past several weeks.
I just saw a good question in the comments. What % chance do you have at Johnny winning?
Tough to give a percentage. What I will say is this. Even though Johnny has overwhelmingly won in the court of public opinion, I think probably almost all the people that are watching support Johnny Depp. I think Amber Heard has a very good chance of winning this case. Don't hate me for it. Watch my video I posted yesterday to hear why.
All right. Somebody is saying that their bruise kit is in the bottom of the ice cream picture.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of testimonies saying that the bruise kit was there, and therefore, look, there's only a few possibilities, right? That the pictures were photoshopped, that it's Botox or filler, the bruises are really makeup, right? I think Depp's team has to argue something during closing. I mean, they got to come up with some sort of theory, right? I know we're all speculating, but they have to say that the bruises aren't real. So, look, maybe that's the way they go. They say, listen, this is something that she planned all along. This is just makeup. They're not real bruises.
There was clearly verbal abuse. Does this count?
No, great question. Because the statement is, I was the victim of domestic violence. I think you need some physical violence if you're Amber Heard to win this case. There's no question that the parties were verbally abusive towards one another, but I don't think that was in any way the context of the Washington Post op-ed that's the subject of the defamation claim in this case.
They all want to know why you think Amber Heard is going to win. He's not Team Amber.
No,
he's looking
I'm not Team Amber.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that Johnny Depp has presented more favorably as a party and a witness. I think his witnesses have been better. I think his lawyers have done better. But I want everyone to know, this is very important. The law favors Amber Heard. This is why. Depp has a high burden in this case, and the burden of proof is on him. He's got to prove the defamation by clear and convincing evidence. So let's talk about the three standards that you have under the law. Beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard. You hear about it in criminal cases. That's what lawyers have to prove. Prosecutors, former prosecutors like me, to put someone in jail or prison. It's the highest standard. At the bottom, you have what we call preponderance of the evidence. That's more likely than not, 50.1%, right? That's your typical standard in civil cases. However, because Johnny Depp is a public figure, for him to win a defamation case, he has to prove his case, his claims, by clear and convincing evidence. So what is that? In California, for instance, that's the standard that the government has to prove to take your kids away from you. It's higher than your typical civil standard. So that's one. He has to meet a higher burden because he's a public figure. Two, he has to prove actual malice on the part of Amber Heard. Sometimes actual malice, I mean, you might have heard that. He needs to get inside Amber's head and prove to the jurors that she knew she was lying, actually knew she was lying when she said she was the victim of domestic violence, or that she acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Again, another hurdle that Depp's lawyers have to clear. And look, all Amber has to do is prove one incident. Maybe you don't believe Hicksville in 2013. Maybe you don't believe Australia, but maybe you believe the staircase incident. If she proves just one of these incidents, she wins, right? And by the way, Amber Heard can be a perpetrator of domestic violence, and I believe that she initiated a lot of these fights, and she has significant responsibility. But as long as she proves that they were both victims and they were both violent towards one another, mutual violence is a path to victory for Amber Heard. Again, I'm not saying she's likable. I'm not saying she's believable. I think that she's lied during parts of her testimony. I think she's exaggerated others. But the law favors her. And you're going to hear about it when the judge reads the jury instructions to the jurors on Thursday or Friday.
Okay, we have 1.5K viewers. You want to let them know who you are?
Yeah, let me just recap a little. I'm Neama Romani, Harvard Law graduate, former federal prosecutor, works for the Department of Justice, tried a lot of cases, drug trafficking, human trafficking, a lot of domestic violence cases. When I prosecuted cases for the city, I worked for the largest law firm in Los Angeles, represented clients like Disney, for instance, Marriott, the Roman Catholic Church. Now I have my own law firm, 25 lawyers, and I do live trial commentary every day. I was on Court TV today covering this case. Going to do Court TV tomorrow, Law and Crime Thursday. I know you all have been watching. We've been following this case. It's my job to make the law understandable, accessible for everyone. If you like what you hear, please ask a question. Follow us. We're doing videos every day. Did a video today on the TMZ filing. We did a video today on why we're seeing videotape depositions. Could Amber Heard be charged for perjury? So I'm going to answer all your questions either on live. I'm doing this every night, or on video during the day when we have breaks from Law and Crime and Court TV.
They want to know what kind of attorney you are.
So right now I do civil plaintiffs work. I've done every type of litigation. I'm a trial lawyer. So I started my career, I started defending big corporations, right? We defended, for instance, Jeff Skilling in the Enron case. For some of you are a little bit older. I've been doing this for 20 years. Then I didn't like it. I didn't like defending corporations. I didn't like defending criminals. So I became a prosecutor. I was an assistant U.S. attorney, federal prosecutor for the Department of Justice. I got a guy on the most wanted list, really bad, a murderer and drug kingpin. Did that for years. Then did public corruption for the city of LA. Now I represent victims in police shootings, civil rights cases, personal injury cases, employment cases. So I just do civil plaintiffs work, and I represent victims when something bad has happened to them.
They want to know how old you are because you said 20 years.
Graduated law school at age 22. One of the youngest people ever to graduate Harvard Law School. I started when I was 19. I'm now 42 years old.
All right. Back to Johnny Depp.
Let's do it.
Can Amber be charged with perjury?
That's a great question. The answer is she can be charged, but she will not be charged. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. I did a video on this today. 1, perjury prosecutions are rare. I prosecuted more than 1,000 people during my career, maybe 2,000. And perjury prosecutions really only happen when there's some other crime, like fraud, for instance. Perjury prosecutions on their own, they're just uncommon. I can count on one hand the number of times I prosecuted someone just for perjury. So that's 1. 2, this is a civil dispute. It's not a criminal case. And criminal prosecutors do not want to get involved in civil litigation because there's a perception, rightly or wrongly, that the criminal justice system and law enforcement, they're being misused to gain leverage over your opponent in a civil case. So oftentimes when there's a civil dispute, in this case there's civil litigation, there's a lawsuit, prosecutors won't touch it. And the 3rd reason is this. You might not like Amber Heard, but there's a possibility that she's a victim of domestic violence. And domestic violence is one of the most underreported crimes in the country. It can also be falsely reported, but prosecutors don't want to chill or discourage victims from coming forward by prosecuting with them with perjury. So if you don't like that answer, just know this. For the same reason that Amber Heard won't get prosecuted for perjury, even though she probably perjured herself, at least when it comes to the donations, is the same reason Johnny Depp is not going to be prosecuted for admitting to using illegal substances repeatedly during this case. That's unlawful, but it's not going to result in prosecution.
What happens if they can't make a decision?
If you're talking about the jurors, they're going to deliberate for days because if they can't reach a decision, guess what? That's a mistrial, and we got to start all over with a new jury, and these witnesses are going to have to testify again. So the judge is going to let them deliberate for days, maybe even weeks, until it's absolutely certain that they can't reach a unanimous verdict, in which case the case will mistrial, and we're going to start all over.
Okay. Do you think she'll be awarded her $100 million counter?
I think Amber Heard's defense to the defamation is a lot better than her counterclaim. This is why. Her damages are really speculative, in my opinion. She's assuming that because of Johnny Depp, and by the way, there's 3 statements that his lawyer made about her saying it was a hoax and she made this up, that derailed her career. Frankly, I don't think her career was on a great path to begin with. I know she believes, and her supporters believe, that she earned the Aquaman role by herself. Look, there's a real possibility that she got that role in large part because of Johnny Depp. And clearly, her career hasn't taken off in any way near the way that Depp's has. So for her witnesses to testify that, she should have gotten bigger and better roles, and, Aquaman 2 would have paid her X amount of money, I think that's real speculative, and I don't think it's supported by the evidence. I think, frankly, those were some of the worst witnesses in this case, Heard's damages witnesses.
Will Kate Moss be in court tomorrow?
I think so. Well, I take that back. She reportedly is going to testify via videotape. So we'll see. I'm guessing, I don't know, but this is my guess, a lot of the discussion today after court was about Kate Moss, maybe the flight attendant. These are the last rebuttal witnesses. I know that Depp's team desperately wants to bring her in. I think Heard opened the door when she talked about her during the staircase incident. So I don't know if she'll actually physically be in court, but I think she will testify tomorrow, as well as Depp.
How do you feel about her law team? They seem to be inept at their job.
I have thought, especially last week, a week ago today, when Camille Vasquez absolutely destroyed Elaine. I gave her an F that day. By F, I mean Elaine. I gave Camille an A. I think Elaine really got her revenge today when Morgan Knight testified. I don't know if you recall, there was objection after objection after objection leading, and Camille got tripped up. She didn't know what to do. So, yeah, maybe she didn't make a full comeback, but she got her revenge today. I thought she did a pretty good job. I'd give her probably an A- or a B+. And I was surprised at Camille. She wasn't able to overcome those objections and get in the evidence that she wanted from this witness. So every dog has his or her day, and today was Elaine's day. I think she got the best of Vasquez.
Neama, you were recognized from Shaws of Sunset. Somebody said they saw you on Shaws of Sunset.
Oh, yeah. I was on. My wife was very good friends with an attorney, Lily Gallici, so she was on a few episodes, and I was on as well. So thanks for someone catching that. God, it's probably been well over 10 years since I was on Shaw's.
Is there time included in closing arguments?
Yes, the judge will limit the time that the attorneys have. They're not going to talk for hours and hours on end. I don't know what that time is. She hasn't announced it yet. But believe me, if she's announced strict time limits for the witnesses, there are going to be time limits on closing. So we'll see what that is. I would guess probably Thursday, the judge is going to announce it. So I expect closing to wrap up in one day. So if you have about 6 hours of total time, maybe we're going to get 3 and 3 on each side, but we'll see.
Who is a flight attendant?
So the flight attendant, so we're talking about rebuttal witnesses, right? And the reason Hicksville, the witness, was important today because that was where, Heard testified about the cavity search right back in 2013. So the flight attendant is the incident where they both were flying on a private jet. They took a controlled substance, a capsule. You guys can decide what that is. And actually, they convinced the flight attendant to do so. The flight attendant, because of that controlled substance, became lovey. Let's just use that description with Amber Heard. Johnny Depp got jealous, and he reportedly grabbed the flight attendant's hand and twisted it. Again, that's the second kind of grabbing, twisting the wrist incident. If the flight attendant were to come testify that this never happened and Heard's lying, that's going to go a long way to really shooting her credibility down even more.
Opinion on Amber Heard's court behaviors at the table?
I think she's done an okay job. Look, here's someone who's clearly emotional, right? You can see that in her deposition testimony and her testimony on the stand in this case. I think she's done a good job kind of keeping it together. I know it must be difficult to have people all over the world hate you, make fun of you on social media, calling you a liar in court. The one time where she really lost it was the last day of cross-examination. That's because a week ago today where she stormed off the witness stand before the jurors. That was really poor form. But other than that, given the circumstances and given how so many people dislike her, I think she's done a pretty good job maintaining her cool in court.
All right.
Let's do a quick recap. Neama Romani, Harvard Law grad, former federal prosecutor, legal commentator, covering this case On Court TV and Law and Crime. Hopefully you've been watching. We're talking about the witnesses. We're talking about the strategy. Rebuttal is probably going to wrap up tomorrow, maybe go into part of the day Thursday. Parties have about 12 hours left combined, so probably get into some witness testimony on Thursday, but we're seeing the finish line here, the end of the case. So jump in with your questions. My job is to make the law and legal cases understandable, accessible for everyone. Follow if you like what you're watching. We're doing lives every night until this case is concluded, and we're doing videos during breaks in the action. We dropped 3 videos today about TMZ, videotape depositions, and perjury charges.
Okay, with how often Amber Heard lied, isn't it easier for Depp to win?
Yeah, I think Heard's made, and her team have made a lot of mistakes in this case. The lying and the exaggerating are really big ones, in my opinion. I mean, the lies about the donation, those are really bad. It's a clear lie. You didn't make the donation, so just admit to it. To say that you pledged it when you've told everyone you donated it, I think that was just either a strategic legal mistake or just narcissism on Amber's part, just the inability to admit that she's done anything wrong or she plays a role in this. And I also think, regardless of whether you feel the allegations are fabricated or not, I think most people will agree that Amber Heard's description of the injuries, they don't match the pictures and video. You can't say, I thought Johnny was going to kill me, and then you have bruising that looks like a misdemeanor battery, not attempted murder. You can't say, Johnny punched me so many times I lost count, when the bruising just doesn't support it. I think we all remember when Rihanna was attacked by Chris Brown and that type of bruising. It just, again, don't exaggerate, you lose credibility with the jurors. So I think if Amber loses this case, it's because the jurors found her not likable and not credible.
How many days are left for this case?
1 to 2 days of witness testimony. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to wrap up closing arguments on Friday. So Friday will be the absolute last day before the jury starts deliberating.
What did you think of Jennifer Howell's deposition? A lot of people are asking this
Yeah,
again.
I was really underwhelmed. I mean, we've been talking about Jennifer Howell every night on TikTok for those of you that have joined us. I thought she was going to be like a bombshell witness, that I was going to come, destroy Whitney, destroy Amber. I thought she was going to testify in person. You know, she reportedly posted something on Instagram talking about karma. Like, I thought it was going to be like the witness that like comes through the door and just brings the case home for Johnny Depp. Instead, we have short videotape testimony, and really, what did we get from it? 2 things that weren't really helpful. The first was she testified that Johnny didn't use drugs and alcohol when it's clear that he did. He even admitted it himself, and every witness has said that. I don't think that's even in dispute. So she's talking about something that's really not true. The second is she said that, you know, Amber never told her that Johnny abused her. Again, doesn't really add that much. I thought we're going to hear about all of Amber and Whitney's lies, and none of that came out today during that deposition testimony.
Why was the motion to strike counterclaim not granted?
Great question. So at the end of every case, the party makes essentially a motion to dismiss, right? So when Johnny finished his case in chief, Heard's lawyers got up and said, Your Honor, there's not enough evidence to even take this case to a jury. What does that mean? Heard's lawyers argued that no reasonable juror would find that Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp. Of course, the judge said, that's not true. It's a question of fact. That's up to the jury. Denied that motion. Then Heard rested her case yesterday. So today, this morning, you heard the arguments, right? Depp's lawyers said, well, Heard hasn't presented evidence of her counterclaim, right? The 3 alleged statements that Depp and his lawyers made saying that this was all a hoax. Judge similarly rejected that argument, said no. The jury's going to decide both the claim and the counterclaim. And that's what's expected. You know, if a judge takes the decision out of the juror's hands, guess what? That's an automatic appeal, because you're saying as a judge that no reasonable juror can find for Johnny Depp or no reasonable juror can find for Amber Heard. It becomes an automatic appellate issue, and guess what? Usually appellate courts will say, well, that's an abuse of discretion, and because you abused your discretion, we got to start all the way over. If you're going to do something like this as a judge, and I'm not saying that the judge is going to do it, most judges will probably count on one finger the number of times they've granted a motion like this. What you want to do is wait for the jurors to deliberate, return their verdict, Then if you want to set aside the verdict and say, no, your verdict is incorrect because it's patently unreasonable. That way, if it goes up on appeal, the appellate court disagrees with it, comes back down, you at least have your jury verdict. You don't have to start all over.
What was the massive binder they read from at the end?
I don't know what they were reading from. I don't know. What witness was it? Was it Dr. Shaw?
Oh, the last witness was Dr. Shaw.
Were they reading from Dr. Shaw? I don't know if it had something to do with the Goldwater rule or... Well, I mean, experts rely on all sorts of... I don't want to call it evidence. Experts can rely on information that doesn't come into evidence, so maybe it was something that you relied on.
An encyclopedia Amber Heard's attorney read.
I don't recall seeing that today. I gotta check that video. Maybe if you pull it up, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pull that up, but let's do...
So generally speaking, let me answer the question. You can put information into evidence, but an encyclopedia article is hearsay, right? We've heard about hearsay. That's an out-of-court statement, even though it's printed, being admitted for the truth. So it's hearsay, it's not going to come in. But you can cross-examine with anything. That's why you saw, for instance, Amber Heard's attorney cross-examine Morgan Knight about his tweets, right? You can cross-examine on anything, even if it's hearsay. You can't admit hearsay into evidence. So maybe it was something that was used for cross-examination.
It was something about the sustained objection.
Oh, I gotta pull up the video. Once I pull up the video, I'll be able to comment on it. If it's objection, I'll easily be able to tell you what it was.
Okay, it was objected by Depp.
Yeah,
I'll find the video.
Yeah, generally speaking, an encyclopedia is not going to come in. Again, that's clear hearsay. It doesn't come into evidence. You can ask a witness, hey, would it surprise you that the encyclopedia says X, Y, Z? They can agree with it, they can disagree with it, but the encyclopedia itself is not coming into evidence. That's clear hearsay.
All right. So let me find the video, and then how did he lose in the UK with the same witnesses?
Yeah. That's a really great question. The UK case was much easier for Johnny Depp too. This is why. Talked about the burden, right? But clear and convincing in the case here in the United States. In Europe, the laws favor defendants in defamation cases. Why? The burden isn't on the plaintiff to prove the statement was false. The burden's on the defendant to prove the statement was substantially true. So in that case, the burden was on the Sun, the newspaper, to prove the statement was true. And not just true, substantially true. And in addition, the statement was much worse in that case. The statement was that Johnny Depp is a wife beater. That's a much more difficult statement to defend than Amber Heard saying she's the victim of domestic violence without mentioning Johnny, even though clearly the implication is that it was about Depp. And in that UK case, the judge found at least 12 incidents of abuse. Not just one that Heard needs in this case, 12. And it went up on appeal and he lost. Based on that case, I thought Johnny Depp had no chance, but he's proven me wrong. His lawyers, his witnesses, Depp's own testimony has been very, very persuasive. And he's made an amazing comeback. I'm not ready to declare him the victor yet because I think Amber Heard still has a chance of winning. But I did not think Depp and his lawyers would do as good as they did, and they've proven me wrong.
All right.
What's the next question, Julia?
Next question.
Julia's trying to find the encyclopedia reference.
I am. What is proffer evidence? I think that has to do with
Proffer.
the binder.
Oh, proffer.
That's what they're saying,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So when you proffer, you're basically making an offer of proof. Well, what does that mean? The judge wants to know, how is this relevant, and how are you going to kind of lay the foundation for this evidence to come in? So you can't just bring in a witness. You can't just bring in a document. The judge is going to want to know, like, what does this have to do with anything? Does it have to do with the claim? Does it have to do with defense? Does it have to do with impeachment, which is to contradict what a witness says? So you got to make an offer of proof, or you proffer to the court, Your Honor, this is why the witness is relevant. So I can give some examples today, right? Morgan Knight. There was a little voir dire, right? There was a whole examination of the witness outside the presence of the juror. That's basically a proffer where you say, look, Your Honor, here's someone who owned the park. He's going to testify that he never saw Johnny be violent, and in fact, he saw Amber Heard be abusive. That's the offer of proof. That's the proffer as to why his testimony is relevant. And the second part is foundation, right? You can't have a witness testify about something that someone else told them that's hearsay. You can't have a witness testify about something they don't know about. That's speculation, right? So the foundation was, look, I was there. I saw these two for 45 minutes or an hour. That's why I have personal knowledge. So look, if there is a proffer for the encyclopedia, let's hear it. But again, it sounds like it would be hearsay. But I'm interested to see what Julia pulls up.
Still trying to find it. Did she make it harder for other victims to go to trial?
Yes, I actually did an interview today, a long interview with a reporter, and it's like, are we going to see more of these types of lawsuits from people accused of domestic violence and sexual assault? And again, I don't want to make this political, but defamation law is something that Donald Trump has used very aggressively to go after people that criticize him. And oftentimes, and we represent victims of rape and domestic violence all the time. Oftentimes, the people that they're accusing are more powerful, not just physically, but in terms of money and resources. So if these powerful figures are going to go after these women who oftentimes don't have the money to pay for lawyers like Amber Heard, clearly she didn't have the money because she's going to use her settlement money that was supposed to go to ACLU and Children's Hospital to pay for these lawyers. You know, do they have a chance of actually winning these defamation cases? And is that going to cause them not to come forward?
There was no encyclopedia. He was referring to a giant binder.
Got it. Okay.
And I can't find a video, but apparently the jury left, and one of Amber's lawyers was reading from a thick binder pages to the judge. The jury wasn't there.
Yeah, if you find out what it was, if you can see that testimony.
They were giving proffer evidence.
About what? What evidence were they proffering? If someone can find the video, just email it to Julia at westcoasttriallawyers.com.
Yes, please do right now.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, if you find the video, email it to Julia at westcoasttriallawyers.com. She's here behind the camera. She's got her laptop up. We'll pull it up, we'll watch it, and I'll do a live analysis on the fly.
It was a list of objections they felt were unfair, is what somebody else is saying.
Well, they're probably going through then just transcripts of the trial, right? Mm-hmm. They're going back, they're complaining. But look, I think the judges called it pretty evenly. She's a pretty strict follower when it comes to the rules of evidence. Some judges will kind of let some questionable questions or slide just to kind of move things along. But I mean, she's sustaining a lot of objections, and really the lawyers could do a much better job asking the questions, because really a lot of what they're asking is objectionable. So if you haven't seen it, I did 2 videos on the objections that we've seen in this case, how to overcome them. Maybe Amber and Johnny's lawyers can watch these videos and really phrase their questions better, so not to have these objection problems that they've been having.
Sustained objections they thought were unfair is what a lot of people are saying.
Basically, they're just complaining after the fact, not going to change anything. They're not going to bring those witnesses back and do anything. So, but I'm interested to see what they were complaining about. Again, too little, too late. You know, that ship is
If you have the video, please send it to me. Don't the experts for Depp destroy Amber's counter?
Are you talking about the liability experts, or are you talking about the damages experts? They're 2 different ones. The liability experts are the psychologists, psychiatrists that we've heard from. The damages experts are separate. Those are the entertainment expert, the lawyer, the the social media expert, all those types of folks, the agents. So if you specify, I'll be able to comment.
Can Amber be guilty of defamation by omission?
Okay, so guilty is a phrase that's used in criminal cases, right? Guilty, not guilty. This is a civil case, so no one's going to be guilty. It's a question of, has Johnny Depp proven his claim? And for defamation, you actually need a statement, an affirmative statement. So you have slander, you have libel. Those are the 2 types of defamation. Slander is spoken word, libel is written. In this case, it's a libelous statement. Specifically what she wrote in the Washington Post op-ed in 2018. So there's no defamation by omission.
Why is the trial still going if everyone supports Johnny Depp?
Because this isn't tried in a court of public opinion. You know, all that matters are the 7 jurors that...
Someone sent me the video.
Oh, let's watch it. Here we go.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
That is so
you are awesome.
awesome.
Let's watch it.
Laptop's on 2%. Right.
Here we go. Thank you, Carrie. We're gonna watch this right now.
Upside really quick. Oh, let me get my charger.
All right.
We'll ask another question.
All right. Is Kylie or Maddie here? We can have them bring it up.
Yeah, they are. I would text them, but...
Let me text them.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sorry, guys. That was so exciting.
Bring Julia's charger.
Which side was the judge obviously frustrated with today?
I mean, I think she's just losing patience, you know, with all the speaking objections, right? That's why, remember, the lawyers were talking over each other. That's why you're seeing so many sidebars. I think she's trying to get control of the courtroom a little bit. It's gotten a little bit salty, to say the least. And you want to be professional. Obviously, everyone in the entire world is watching this case, and they're judging not just the witnesses and the attorneys, but the judge herself. This is our courtroom. You got to keep control and avoid it becoming a circus. So I think she's getting kind of frustrated at how the attorneys are interacting with one another. It's an emotional case, obviously.
If you were one of the jurors, what would your decision be?
It's a great question. I think that something happened, but I don't think it's what Amber Heard described. And I think that she's minimizing her role in all of this. So the question is, do I say that Johnny Depp hasn't proven his case because she was the victim and award both of them nothing, or award some nominal amount, but really role in all this?
Why do you think Johnny Depp?
Because Johnny Depp is very likable, he's very credible, he's charming, he's charismatic. He's one of the best witnesses I've ever seen. And he was vulnerable, right? He's talking about this abuse he suffered at the hands of his mother primarily, but also his father. He started using drugs at a young age 11. And it's just, you know, that he sort of oozed likability and credibility in a way that Amber Heard did not, you know, because again, I believe that she lied, she exaggerated. You know, I don't think that she's necessarily fabricating, but I think those are two of the main reasons why people don't support Amber Heard. If she had a different approach and she said, you know what, I was verbally abusive, I've hit Johnny, I have, thank you, Noah, is the best.
All right, now we can get this.
Now we can get this going. It's been a long day. A lot of video. Julie, you want to say hi at least since you're on this thing?
Hello.
So Julie's great. She helps with everything. So we'll get this laptop charged, and as soon as we do, this MacBook, we're gonna watch that video together, and I'm gonna comment on it.
Yes, thank you for.
But yeah. Going back to my answer, you know, if her just kind of took a more middle of the ground approach and just said, listen, like, there's things I could have done differently. I instigated a lot of this. I too was jealous. I've hit Johnny. I've also used substances. You know, instead of saying I've only hit him one time on the stairs and, you know, I don't lie and I don't, you know, she took this really kind of extreme, unreasonable position that was both unnecessary and it caused her to be unlikable and not credible.
Apparently during the jury question it was frozen. Sorry guys. So after you said which team you would pick.
Oh, which team I would pick. Yeah, so kind of go back. Look, there's sort of there's the case on social media and in the public, and there's the legal case. I believe that this was a mutually violent relationship. I believe that Amber Heard played a large role in a lot of this. I believe that the parties were verbally abusive to one another, physically abusive to one another, and I think to sue each other for defamation and a claim that's really a family law case that spilled over to this nasty civil case. I get why Johnny Depp did it. He wants his story to come out, But is this the type of case that you want to award tens of millions of dollars to someone, whether it's Depp or Heard, when they have what we call as lawyers unclean hands and they played a role in all this? It's probably not something I would do.
Are we still freezing now? Keeps freezing. I wonder why. Yeah, guys, I'm on the Wi-Fi and plugged in, so I'm not sure. Let me know if it's... Oh, not freezing anymore.
All right,
great. Okay, so we have the video.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, this is 9 hours long.
All right, if you can tell us where in the video we should be watching.
Probably at the end, right?
Let's do it.
Let's through.
All right, so Julia's going to pull up the video. Why don't we get another question while we pull it up? Oh, law and crime.
Yeah.
So yeah, love Law and Crime. I can see which one of my friends were on today. I was on Court TV today. I'll be on Law and Crime on Thursday.
Does Johnny have a strong case?
He has a much stronger case than I thought he did. I thought he had no chance, and he's proven me wrong. Both him and his lawyers have done a fantastic job getting his story out, and I don't think he had any chance of winning, given how badly he lost in the UK and how the law is so unfavorable to public figures in defamation cases.
Oh, here we go. Here's the binder.
The binder. I'm going to watch right now.
Okay. Let's see. So he's taking out the binder.
The UK judgment. On April 29th, 2022, Ms. Heard moved to allow evidence and questioning regarding the UK judgment and for admission of the judgment itself, which is Exhibit C. In support for a motion, Ms. Heard argued that Mr. Depp had opened the door to the admission of the judgment by presenting evidence of damages after the date of the judgment on November 2nd, 2020.
Got it.
Oh, they want to see too.
Let's watch it.
Damages for losing his role in Pirates of the Caribbean 6, movie that has not yet been made. Ms. Heard further observed that Mr. Depp testified that the op-ed had caused him and his family irreparable harm, thereby suggesting that his reputational harm had continued to the present. Ms. Heard noted that Mr. Depp's expert designation indicated Michael Spindler relied on Mr. Depp's earnings from 2019.
Got it. I can answer this. I don't even see the rest.
Okay.
Right. So basically, I do remember this binder. Amber Heard's lawyers want to get the UK judgment into evidence. That's what this is. So the judges excluded it. Different case, different defendant. It's nothing to do with anything that's happening here, right? Doesn't have any precedential effect. So what Heard's lawyers are arguing, saying, well, now Johnny's opened the door, his experts have opened the door by referencing it in sort of roundabout ways. Obviously, the judge wasn't buying it, but really that's what this argument was about. Heard's lawyers trying to get the UK judgment and the fact that Johnny lost over there into evidence. Judge wasn't having it. But thank you for sending it.
Next question. Why didn't they cross Jennifer Howell?
They did. So during depositions, it's just like it is in court. The parties ask questions, there's cross-examination, there's objections. But two things have happened before it's played before the jury. One, the judges ruled on all the objections. That's why you hear it sort of cutting and it's chopped up. Even though it may seem like it's flowing smoothly, it's not. There's objections. The ones that are overruled or rejected by the judge, then the question and answer come into evidence. So that's one. Two, the parties have limited time. I believe Depp has 12 hours and Heard only has 2 hours left. So they don't want to waste their time playing unnecessary cross-examination when the time they have left is so valuable and deposition testimony is so ineffective. There's nothing as good as a live witness in court. No one wants to watch a videotape.
Her sister didn't help at all, somebody says.
Look, Whitney, I thought Whitney was a good witness, and this is why. She took a middle-of-the-ground approach, right? She admitted to using substances with Depp in a way that Amber did not. She talked about the staircase incident and Amber being jealous. That's what caused it, right? That's not something that Amber testified about. I thought she was a lot more credible than Amber because, she made some admissions. She acknowledged her personal use of substances in a way that Amber didn't. And that Amber, again, played a role in all this. These fights don't just happen out of nowhere. She took a little bit more of a gray area approach instead of black and white. And she said that she loved Johnny, called her brother. Again, I thought she was a pretty effective witness. And again, aside from Ellen Barkin, she's the only one that actually saw an act of violence, right, by Johnny Depp. So Amber desperately needed her, even though it's a sister and obviously is biased.
How much do you estimate legal costs for each side?
Oh, I think Depp spent at least $10 million between here and the UK. I mean, when you're in trial, I mean, there's so much attorney time spent on this. You're talking about $1 million plus a month. When I was working in the big law firm, there's some months, and again, huge cases so sometimes the bills would even be $5 million or more a month. And this was 15 years ago. So easily, he spent $20 million, I would say. I'm sorry, $10 million, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's even 20 or more. Just a guess, though.
Why doesn't Ben ask questions like Camille does?
Yeah, so they've split up the witnesses. Ben, Camille, and the third lawyer, female lawyer, I forgot her name. It's just a legal strategy that gives you time to kind of research the witness, prepare your cross-examination or direct, prep with the witness if it's a friendly witness, and they just made a decision to do so. We just finished a trial today, and wrongful death trial here in LA County. It lasted weeks, and the lawyers here and another firm that we're working with, we split up the witnesses. So this is pretty common. Otherwise, it can be too much for one lawyer to handle, and you don't want them to miss anything during direct or cross.
Why did they lie about her being paid $4 million?
You're talking about the $7 million?
I don't know. I don't know what that question's.
Is this related to how much she got paid for Aquaman? So if you can
possibly, yeah. Maybe if you ask that question, can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. Because I know there was a
Not
discussion.
sure.
I think she got $1 million from Aquaman, but she was to get $3 million. But yeah, those were damage witnesses. So, or was it related to the divorce settlement?
Okay, this is a funny one. What are your thoughts on the second Battle of the Sykes?
Shaw versus Spiegel.
Yeah.
So we started with Curry versus Hughes, right? That's how we started the case. Curry came on, diagnosed Amber Heard as borderline, histrionic. So borderline, the important parts of that diagnosis were that she had separation anxiety, she couldn't let go, she was terrified that Johnny would leave her. And histrionic, which means that essentially she used sex as a weapon. Then Hughes came on and said, no, she's just a victim of domestic violence. Frankly, I like them a lot more than Spiegel and Shaw. I didn't think Spiegel was a good witness at all yesterday. The questioning by Heard's attorney was just weird, talking about the earpiece and Marlon Brando, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just really kind of weird stuff, especially when you're running out of time. Why you're asking these stupid questions? Shaw came in, I liked him more, but for him to spend so much time talking about this Goldwater rule from the 60s and this ethical violation, it's just, again, not a good use of time. You have limited time, and why are you wasting it on experts like this? I want to hear from the actual rebuttal witnesses, like I said, Kate Moss, flight attendant, witnesses that are going to prove your case, not these experts, none of which have even examined Johnny Depp or Amber Heard or treated them.
So the $4 million was in regards to Aquaman. They lied. They're saying she lied about formula and got paid for Aquaman. For Aquaman 3.
Oh, Aquaman 3 is already out?
No, not out, but she already got paid for it.
Well, my understanding was, and again, I don't know and again, I gotta go back and listen to the Warner Brothers testimony, but my understanding was that obviously she did Aquaman 1, Aquaman 2, she's basically not quite written off, but they've cut her role down to 10 minutes. So I gotta go back and see that Aquaman 3 testimony. I don't recall that.
Do you, obviously you're not there, but do you have any info on how the jury was reacting?
Yes, because I'm on Court TV, and they have Chanley Painter in the courtroom. You can see her in the first row. And then Law and Crime has Anjanette Levy in the courtroom. So they see what I don't see based on the video, right? Because the video cannot show the jurors. But they've been talking about their reaction. And if you don't follow them, obviously follow me, Neama Romani on Twitter, West Coast Trialers. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram if you like what you're seeing. We do videos every single day. We're analyzing the case. We are doing videos about what transpires and we're going to do lives every night. But Anjanette and Chanley are fantastic as well. They're providing insight from inside the courtroom.
We have another correction. They were saying they were projecting $4 million for her.
Yeah,
Aquaman 3.
I don't like those witnesses at all. They're basically saying because she made $1 million on Aquaman 1, she should make X on Aquaman 2 and this much on 3. They're projecting this, that her career is taking off because she starred in a movie. Well, what they're not accounting for is, one, she may have gotten that role because of Johnny, right, even though she disagrees. Two, she might not be a very good actor, and certainly she's not very likable after this trial. So even if she wins, are any Hollywood studios going to work with her? Doesn't matter, even if she wins this case. I mean, she just didn't present well on the witness stand.
Could, in the end, neither side get any monetary reward?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's very possible that the jury just washed their hands of it. And again, it's also possible that Depp's lawyers ask for little to nothing in closing argument. They say, listen, I just want to get my story out. Award Johnny $1 so just so he knows that he won and the truth came out. It's possible that the jurors are like, look, these are two rich actors, actresses. Am I going to really give one of them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 million? I don't think that's going to happen. But you never know what a jury's going to do.
All right. So we have an update. Our video about the TMZ...
the TMZ.
It just came out right
now.
now.
Watch our video about the TMZ filing today. I'll give you a quick preview, but check it out. TMZ filed a motion for protective order and a motion to quash today. So let's talk about it. A motion for protective order means TMZ is trying to prevent an abuse of discovery by a lawyer. They're arguing that Depp's lawyers are misusing discovery by trying to get information from their former employee. A motion to quash is a motion for a court to declare that a subpoena is invalid. And what TMZ is arguing is that there is a reporter privilege that prevents their former employee from having to disclose their sources. And of course, we're talking about the leaked video and information to TMZ. How did they get it? Amber Heard denied it was being her. Likely, it was someone that was working for her, maybe a lawyer, maybe a publicist, maybe an assistant. But TMZ got it somehow, and they're going to try to protect their sources. And this is not out of the ordinary. This is something that every news organization does. You got to protect your sources if you're a reporter. You're not going to turn it over voluntarily, and I expect TMZ to win. But watch the video. See why.
It's getting late, so we'll do a couple more,
So
and then we'll wrap up.
We'll wrap up, and obviously we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah. So what's the max time the jury can deliberate?
So I think the judge is going to let them deliberate for weeks if necessary. This is why. You have 5 full weeks of testimony, and if the judge declares a mistrial, we got to start this whole thing over. So if there's any possibility that the jurors are going to reach a verdict, the judge is going to let them go. But if they come back and they say we're hopelessly deadlocked, the judge reads them certain instructions, call them Allen charge, and they go back again and say they're hopelessly deadlocked, they can't reach a verdict, and the judge is going to have no choice but to mistrial and start all over.
Didn't Warner Brothers try to quash also?
I don't know if they filed a motion to quash, but they did testify in terms of a PMK. We saw the Disney PMK. PMK, person most knowledgeable. We saw, and again, you know, studios, companies, they file these motions all the time. TMZ has a basis for the motion to be granted because there's a privilege, there's a reporter privilege. There's no privilege that governs either Disney or Warner Brothers. So if they filed a motion, I'd like to know what the legal basis was, but I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that it wasn't granted.
Was the Hicksville witness effective?
You know, I had mixed feelings about him. I think he made a couple mistakes. The first is he kept talking about his own abuse and his own trauma. You know, Morgan, this isn't about you and your past relationships. Like, stop. You know, this is about what you saw with Johnny and Amber. So I think he finally kind of got on track. I think he got beat up a little bit because, again, it seemed like he wanted to be there, wanted to be part of the case. I think that cross-examination was effective. And again, I think his statement, like, he had to pull back his statement. First he said that, you know, he was there all night. Then he said, well, no, I was there 45 minutes to an hour. So ultimately I thought he was good, but I really expected great based on his tweet. Good, but I really expected great based on his tweet and how he presented during that voir dire. That's that time where the parties were and the lawyers were talking to him outside the presence of the jury.
Okay, we'll end on this question. Would you have represented Amber?
I wouldn't have represented Amber if she did not make a commitment to tell the truth. And I think there's certain things that she did that were less than truthful. But like, I have the luxury of choosing my own clients after doing this for a long time. And I would tell Amber, listen, we're going to come in and we're going to accept responsibility for our role in this and your role in this. And whether it's substance abuse, whether it's verbal abuse, whether it's instigating some of the violence, the jurors are not going to like you. The public is not going to like you unless you come clean. And I wish that's what she did, but whether it's a decision by her lawyers or a decision by Amber, I think that's a mistake. So thank you guys all. Again, follow for daily updates. We're doing this every single night until we get a verdict. And obviously, we're going to be answering questions as they come up. Rebuttal tomorrow is going to be huge. Is it Kate Moss? Is it Johnny Depp? Is it the flight attendant? Is it someone else that I haven't thought of? But tomorrow may be one of the most important days of testimony yet, so make sure to follow us.
Oh, they're all asking what time tomorrow. Should we figure that out right now? What time tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it. I have to do...
Yeah, do we have
I have to do... I have a TV interview at 1 p.m. Pacific on Johnny Depp. I have Court TV 6 p.m. We're doing the nightly wrap-up with Vinnie Politan.
We're
What
try
time?
to squeeze in some TikToks. Yeah. I know. That's a me question.
What do you want? You want to do 4 p.m., 7 p.m.? Does that work for you guys? 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern? Or you want to do 5? No, 5 because it's pushing up against Court TV.
Let's do 4. Let's do
4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We'll be on. See everyone tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Follow. Thanks.